life. I'm sorry if what we're about to do is ruining your favorite hashtag, but that is what we're going to be talking about tonight. So live your best life. I think this one's really trendy right now. I actually did a little research, and if you search it on Instagram, the numbers come out to hashtag live your best life gets hashtag 206 times an hour in America. It is very popular. It's a buzz phrase right now. If you're not on social media, if you're a healthy person, I guess. I mean, I'm on social media, so I guess you're healthier than me. You might have missed it. Essentially what it is whenever somebody does something fun or cool or risky, they're like, living my best life. Or you're encouraging somebody that's like doing something cool or weird, I don't know, and they're just like, hey, you live your best life. I think it's really interesting because I think it lines up really well with how millennials and Gen Zs tend to act and think. I think it lines up really well with the culture we've set as millennials and Gen Zs, in the sense that it's both used seriously and sarcastically. It's kind of funny to watch this. So you'll see it come up a lot in two ways. You'll see the person who's like on the really cool beach trip, and they're like sitting back on the sand with the ocean in the back, and they've got their like coconut margarita with the umbrella whatever, and a paper straw because like the environment, and they're like living my best life, and everybody's like, ugh, they're so cool. And then you get the rest of us who aren't on the cool vacation, who like wake up really late or stay up too late, and we look terrible, and we post the same thing, but we do it as like a story, just like a selfie where we look really bad, and we just say, living my best life. And it shows up that way too. And both of them are kind of doing similar things where you're essentially performing. I don't want to unpack it too much yet. I actually want to show you something interesting about it before we go too much deeper. This actually isn't a new thing at all. Bear with me. It's not a new thing at all. It's trendy right now, but I actually think it's a reinvention of a couple different ideas. Another popular one that is literally the same thing, it was popular when I was in college, is everybody's favorite acronym, YOLO. These are the same things, if you did not know. They're the same exact thing. They have the same exact root. A little context for YOLO. It means you only live once. It is a song. You've probably heard of it. It actually started by a marketing strategist for paddle boards. He coined YOLO so that people would buy paddle boards and go explore and live their best life. And then Drake found it, and that's how we all found it. Is Drake made the song. But these things are the same thing. YOLO, live your best life, they're the same exact thing, and I'll show it to you with a few examples. Chocolate chips in your yogurt for breakfast. You normally do bananas, a little fruit, but we're doing chocolate chips today. YOLO, but also living my best life. It's the same thing. Same thing with dessert before dinner or backpacking across Europe for a year. That's YOLO and living your best life. They're the same thing. All-night binger, YOLO, living your best life. They're actually, it goes a little deeper. They've actually, it's a reinvention of another phrase called carpe diem. If you haven't heard of that, open a book. I actually read, and this is probably offensive, but I thought it was funny. On Urban Dictionary, it says that YOLO is actually carpe diem for idiots. I didn't say that. Urban Dictionary said it, but I thought it was funny. At the root of both, at the root of all of them, because they're all the same thing, is this idea, this root, that we only have one life, and we have to make the most of it. We have to make the most of this one life, or else we better not miss out. Don't waste your life. You better have fun. You better be happy. You better do what you want and make some memories and have some experiences. Get out there and live. A quote by an author who wrote a book about kind of both of these concepts named David Quinn. I think he gives some helpful context to the popularity of both of these. He says, the rise of YOLO, or live your best life philosophy, is reflective of a youth culture that highly values new experiences. The experiences themselves do not need to have an aim or a goal in order for them to be worth trying out. YOLO fits perfectly in our culture because it's all about having an experience without thinking about the consequences. So you're essentially just isolating the experience and making it a thing of itself, which, if you actually think about it, what's happening there is you're really just making it all about you. That's what it boils down to. That's what's underneath YOLO and living your best life, is trying to do all these experiences, trying to look a certain way, because you want people to think a certain way about you, because you're actually making your whole life about you. You're either trying to elevate yourself by the flexing, the beach pic, by saying, look at me, I'm living an awesome life. Or you're projecting insecurities by saying, man, I am not living an awesome life and other people are, so maybe at least I could be funny. Maybe at least I can make you laugh, and that's how I will impress you. I think that they are both, YOLO and living your best life, are both very easy to mock. They're both very easy to pick apart. But we wouldn't be talking about them if they were not incredibly attractive to us, to all of us, to me, to you, to all of us. Because YOLO and living your best life actually echoes something that hits deep inside of us. They echo our desires that say there must be more to life than what we have. There must be something more to life. We gravitate to these things, to trying to run after experiences, to trying to look a certain way and being impressive by building this life the way it looks. Because life is actually hard, and we all know this. We've experienced this to some level. It's hard and it's boring most of the time. The majority of all of our lives are just routine and normal. It's just, yep, it's Monday, and I go to class. And what the lie of YOLO and living your best life says is, no, it's actually amazing. Look at all these relationships. Look at all these experiences that we're having. But in fact, we all know that real relationships, they take time. They take energy. If you want relationships with depth, you can't just go to the beach with people. You have to talk about things that aren't awesome all the time. It's not living your best life to talk about your sin. That's hard. It takes time, energy, priority, and effort. You all know this, working a job or being in college, it is also not your best life. It's tiring and difficult and boring. And it's attractive to us because we don't like those things. If we're living our best life, it means that maybe I don't have to just be stuck in the routine. Maybe I could be more than ordinary. Maybe I could even be extraordinary. I don't know. At least for one post. Maybe it'll get 200 likes. I don't know. If you go even deeper, it actually is a distraction. Because when you are living just your normal, ordinary, difficult, toilsome life, what is going to happen is you're going to start to think, what is the point? Like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? What is my purpose? And it distracts us and draws us away from that by saying, this is the point. Being awesome, looking awesome, having fun, doing whatever you want. It's actually just a distraction from the uncomfortable emotions and thoughts that are going to come up because we live in the world that we do. So that is going to bring us to what the Bible has to say. So go back to Ephesians chapter 5. We'll be in verse 8. We'll see what the Bible actually has to say about this narrative. Ephesians 5, verse 8. It says, "For you were once darkness, but now you are light in the Lord. Live as children of light, for the fruit of the light consists in all goodness, righteousness, and truth. And find out what pleases the Lord. Have nothing to do with fruitless deeds of darkness, but rather expose them. It is shameful even to mention what the disobedient do in secret, but everything exposed by the light becomes visible, and everything that is illuminated becomes a light. This is why it is said, 'Wake up, sleeper, rise from the dead, and Christ will shine on you.' Be very careful then how you live, not as unwise but as wise, making the most of every opportunity, because the days are evil. Therefore, do not be foolish, but understand what the Lord's will is." So throughout this series, I kind of said it earlier, but we've talked about 3 categories for how we respond to the narrative. We can accept it, reject it, and redeem it. We have all 3 in specific ways with each narrative, and this will be the same. What we accept about YOLO, about living your best life, is we accept the call. We accept the call, the very face value at the surface, what it's actually saying. So it's this: you only get one life, so you should make the most of it. You should make the most of it. You should be intentional. If this is all we have, then of course we should be intentional with our time. That's what Paul is saying here. He's saying, wake up. It says it here, wake up, sleeper. Continues with, be careful then how you live, not as unwise but as wise, making the most of every opportunity. The Bible is affirming this idea that we're not supposed to sleepwalk through life, that we actually need to wake up, that we were designed for something, that as Christians we were called into something, that we shouldn't just waste our time, waste our opportunities, that we should be aware of where God is moving, that we should care about the people around us, that we should care about our lives. There's actually positive parts of these 2 things. The Bible affirms them, and also there's just literal proven positive effects. Psychology Today has an article where they talk about YOLO and living your best life, and they actually compare the positive effects to the effect of a post-traumatic experience. Here's what I mean. The research goes into this thing called post-traumatic growth, and it's explored how terminal illness diagnosis and near-fatal experiences, how it influences people. Kind of the idea is if you get diagnosed with a terminal disease, or if you experience something near death where you almost die, go to war, something like that, after the fact, after you come to grips with what's actually happening with you, there's actually this trend of you start to really enjoy your life after you come to grips with what's actually going on. What the research says is many of these individuals report that they never felt like they lived until they got the diagnosis or until they almost died. The report says they started doing things that they really enjoyed, that their lives changed for the better. And that's because the reality of death is going to give you perspective. That's just true. The Bible affirms that. Statistics affirm that. When you experience death, when you actually come to grips with it, it gives you new perspective. It helps you wake up because we all are going to die. It helps you figure out what actually is important. So the Bible would actually affirm this positive effect of living your best life. Wake up. Life is precious. Do you care about your life? Are you being intentional? Do you have goals for your life that are both healthy biblical ones, but also just what do you want to do in 5 years? Psalm 90 would actually frame it up this way. It says this: teach us to number our days that we may present to you a heart of wisdom. There's something wise about counting our days, about knowing and coming to grips with the reality of death. So the Bible would actually affirm this. But there are major significant flaws with this way of thought. A big one is if you're constantly trying to live your best life, that's your thing, then you will be a selfish person. You're going to be a selfish person. Your whole life's about you. Your experiences, the feelings that come with them, they're all about you. Even if other people are there, you only wanted the people there to make you look good. You only wanted people there to later on say, I have friends. I'm pretty awesome. I'm pretty great. It's all problematic because it's going to end up crushing you. Your selfishness will consume you. Because if this is your only life and you have to make the most of it, that's what everything is about. One life, better make the most of it, better make the most memories, live your best life. And the second thing that's going to happen is everything's going to matter too much. Everything's going to matter too much. Here's what I mean. The experiences that we've talked about, they will be your God. They will be your king. And what comes with that is immense FOMO, where you're like, I wasn't at the beach with all those people. I didn't get to go to the party. This person's telling a story, and I don't have those same memories. Like, I don't have those same experiences. I'm not enough. I'm not good enough. What is happening? I'm not a good person because I haven't done enough. Your experiences will be your God. You will also have to live for your pleasures and your passions. You better chase after sex. You better chase after eating the best food because this is all you have. Your purpose in life is going to be the best version of yourself and live the best version of your life. And guess what? That can't happen. It's unrealistic. You will not be able to do that. And even if you got close, you would be so unhappy. And you'd think, this isn't it. If you just chase after the physically good life, you're going to realize very quickly that that isn't what the good life actually is. And that is one of the reasons that living your best life, that whole idea, doesn't work. Hello. Because it's built on a lie. It's built on a false premise, and it's a premise that we must reject. If live your best life is all about you live once, you better make the most of it. You better have the best life possible. We have to reject that, and this is why. We reject the premise. We accepted the call, now we reject the premise because as Christians, we believe that we actually live twice, and that changes everything. We actually live twice, and that changes everything. If you believe that you have to live your best life now, you will not be able to follow Jesus. You won't. You will not. Because do you know what comes with following Jesus? Obedience to Him, disciplines, sacrifice. You can't do that if your life is all about you. You should not deny yourself. You should not deny your desires if that is your thing. You cannot be in community? Not really. Because what happens when somebody tells you to stop doing something that you want to do? They're obviously wrong and a buzzkill, and they should also live their best life. What are we doing here? You will not confess your sin because you will also know that somebody might tell you to stop doing what you're doing. Why would you spend time with God? Why would you open your Bible? You gotta wake up early. I'm trying to sleep, living my best life. Let's go. Sleep until 10. Got class at 10:30. I can't do that. Once again, you better chase after pleasures. You have to reorient your life around you to live your best life. You can't follow Jesus and do the same. And this is contradictory completely to the Bible because at its core, the Bible is going to define the word best way differently than how we would define it and how our culture would define it. The Bible is going to contradict how we define the word best. Paul writes this in Romans. He says, "For I consider that the sufferings of this present time are not worth comparing with the glory that is to be revealed to us." He's saying the glory that is to be revealed in the next life. We're going to live forever. The best thing that this world has to offer you does not even come close to what is to come. This life is temporary. The life you are living right now will end. There is more to come, and this is the primary place where Christianity rejects and departs from YOLO and living your best life now. Because the fact is that we know that there is more to life than this life. There's more to come after death. In fact, in many ways, for the Christian, life doesn't really begin until we've died. That is the gospel. What Jesus has done for us is that He has secured our salvation now, right? We are all sinful and broken and have fallen short. The whole world is fractured because of sin. Jesus came, lived a perfect life, and went to the cross, was crucified, was murdered and betrayed by everyone, so that you could get His perfect record. This is called the Great Exchange. You get all of the righteousness of the perfect Son of God, and He took all of your sin. And that is true for the Christian today. And there's more. He rose from the grave, showing us what is to come. He's going to redeem and restore the whole world. The whole world. I'm a nerd, so let's just get that out. I like to read books, especially fantasy fiction books. One of my favorite series is The Lord of the Rings. At the end of The Lord of the Rings, this happens in the books, not the movies, so read the books. They destroy the ring. Spoiler. Sorry, it's been out 60 years or so. So sorry if I ruined that for you. At the end of the book, it's so beautiful. And the writer was trying to get across this idea of what the new heavens and the new earth will be like. And there's two main characters, or whatever, long story short. One of the main characters, named Sam, is talking with the group. And they're just overjoyed because all of the darkness is gone. That all of the bad has been erased when they destroyed the ring. And he says, it's as if the bad things are coming untrue. And what he's trying to get across there is that's exactly what heaven is going to be like because of what Jesus has done for us. All of the bad things that have happened to you, to the world, are going to be erased by what Jesus has done. All of the bad will come untrue. That is the best life. We are not living our best life. We're not even close to living our best life. The best life is what is to come. And the Bible says that we are all going to die, all of us, and that we're going to face judgment. We're going to stand before God, and we will have to give an account for everything we've ever done, all of the good, all of the bad. And it says we will either be separated for eternity, or Jesus will stand in our place, and we will proclaim it is not us, it is only Christ. And we will get to spend eternity with God because we are the adopted, perfected children of God. That changes everything. The new heavens, the new earth changes everything because one way or another, we are all eternal beings, and that should reframe how we view our time on this earth. We can view our reality in light of eternity. That this isn't it. All of your problems, all of the, I didn't get to go to the beach trip, bummer. Is that going to matter in 10,000 years when we're worshiping God in heaven? No. This gives us a new purpose, a new focus, a whole new way of life. And by accepting the call, rejecting the premise, we actually get to redeem the outcome. So we accept the call of living your best life, that this life, it has meaning, that we should be intentional with it. We reject the premise that this is it, that this is all we have, that we have to live our best life. We reject that. And in doing so, we're actually able to redeem the outcome. And this is how we do it. We redeem the outcome because as a Christian, your life is not about you. Your life is not about you. Your life is meant to serve God and others, not yourself. Your best life now does not look like doing all the awesome things. It looks like being a faithful Christian. It looks like showing up for other people. Verse 8, if we'll look back, it'll speak to that. It says, "For you were once darkness, but now you are light in the Lord. Live as children of light, for the fruit of the light consists in all goodness, righteousness, and truth. And find out what pleases the Lord." So the Bible sets up these categories of darkness and light a lot where it's kind of obvious. But the light represents God and his kingdom and all things that are godly and good. Darkness, the opposite. The kingdom of darkness, Satan, sin, death, all of that. So Paul here is associating us in our relationship with God with the light. He calls us children of light. He says, you have been adopted into God's family. You have a completely different identity. This changes everything about you. The principle is that when we get a new identity, that is where our new desires come from. Which, quick side note, I don't know if you grew up in church at all, but I know in the church it gets pushed forward all the time that in order to get the new identity, you have to do the things. You better do the right things, and that's where actual change starts. That's not what the Bible says here. It's not what the Bible teaches. It says that God saves you, and then he starts to change you. And then you start to live differently. It has nothing to do with earning. It has everything to do with what God is doing and has done in your life. And that is when you get the new desires, where you start to fight off all of the selfish, self-centeredness that comes with trying to live your best life. Your desires change. Our new identity starts to reorient how we address the world, how we frame reality, how we think of ourselves in this world. Our new identity begins the redemption of living your best life because our life is no longer about us. And that's when we actually can start to live a little bit like it is our best life here. Because we know what's to come. And we know who we are now. God saved us. That this isn't about me seeking pleasure. This is about me following Jesus for 80 years and then going to do it for the rest of eternity. I want to push it into your life just a little bit further, because if you keep chasing after the whole YOLO, live your best life thing, it's not going to work. It's going to crush you. It's going to ruin your whole life, because life is going to disappoint you and fail you. Like, you're not going to be able to all the time live your best life. That's just reality. And some of you feel this now. In college, your major, your college experience, it's not what you thought it would be. Your major's not what you wanted. You don't have the relationship with your professor. You're not getting the grades, whatever. It's true for all of us. A pandemic literally stole a whole year of your college career. It's supposed to be the best years of your life. You're supposed to be living your best life right now. And it got stolen from you. Maybe you don't have the friend group you wanted. Maybe you're single and you don't want to be. Maybe you're experiencing this thing that I just like to call Christian FOMO, where it's like all my non-Christian friends are actually having fun and living a good life, and I'm just kind of stuck over here like, yeah, have fun. I mean, thanks, Jesus, for the FOMO. Like, they get to drink and whatever, and I'm just here reading my Bible. This kind of sucks. It's Christian FOMO. The good news of the gospel is that it reframes all of this when you actually believe it and let God get into your life. The good news of the gospel is that you live twice. You live twice. The pressure is off this life. You're not missing out on everything. You can miss things because right now is not the point. This life is not all you get. And when you believe that, the pressure actually gets to come off. And it is beautiful when you actually start to live this way, genuinely. It's beautiful when you start to live this way. When you actually think, my life is not about me. It's about following Jesus. It's about sacrificing everything else to get to just follow him with community. A couple of examples I just saw this week. We got some graduating seniors, and for the first time, I've been doing college ministry for about 5 years, and I was sitting in a room the other night with our senior leaders, and there was like 25 of them, and all 25 of them, this has never happened before, are choosing to stick it out with church family post-grad. That is just a huge deal, and it's a huge win, and you may be like, that's weird, like, why do you care about that? But it's actually a win, because I can't tell you how many times I see graduating seniors be like, it's actually not that important, and then in 5 years, they don't know Jesus anymore, because that's what happens. You choose to stick it out with church family. You can't be a Lone Ranger Christian. If you find a church family, sacrifice for it, because God has provided it for you. We've got 25 seniors that said, this is what I want to orient my life around. It's beautiful. Had a leader come talk to me the other day, and she said, my whole degree is not working out the way I want it to. It's just not. It's falling apart. It's not sustainable. Not going to be able to do this. I'm going to have to transfer, and yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all there is to it. And she talked to me about it. She talked with some other people about it. She prayed about it, and she ended up deciding to stay. Not 100%, but mostly because of this stuff. And it's like, that is what life is about. That is actually what your life is about, is following Jesus with other believers. That will actually, in the long term, be the thing that you're most grateful for. That will be the thing that when you're 80 years old, you're thinking back and saying, wow, I'm so grateful that I got to spend more time with other believers in a really healthy church than just giving it up to go figure it out somewhere else. The goal, when you reorient your life around this idea, is that you just get to be faithful. The pressure is off. The pressure is just off. So as I close, I just kind of want to give you, a practical challenge going in. This is our last verse 5. You got the summer coming up. I cannot think of another time for college students to be told you need to live your best life and to do YOLO than the summer. It's kind of the thing. It's you're going home. You got whatever. There's a bunch of different ways it shows up. I would actually tell you that your goal should be less about what are the experiences and the cool things that you're going to do this summer are going to be, and more about how are you going to grow in your relationship with Jesus? How can you serve the people around you? How can you serve your parents? How can you serve and love on and share the gospel with your non-believing friends from home? I would encourage you to stay in touch with community. If you're not in community, get into a life group and encourage and push other believers in your life to follow Jesus. That is you living your best life as a Christian, and it is beautiful, and it's actually way more attractive to everyone around you than you posting a bunch of cool pictures on a beach. I can promise you that. If you are in Christ, you will live twice. You only live once, and live your best life are ultimately lies, and the second life is going to be so much better than what we have now. The bad things will come untrue, and we will get to be with God forever, living our actual best life. Let me pray for us.